within this, so many noises which happen. There is a fan noise going on. There's somebody talking, but still within that, if you want to focus on something, if you want to focus on your heartbeats, you would still be able to do that. And so to be able to move from larger to very focused kind of a thing, that's the amazing ability which we are born with. So when you're in a space, how do you create that sense of focus? Next point I was kind of interested in was about awareness. When you're within a space, the awareness of it. What you see in front is what is in front of you. But always, all of us are aware of what is behind you also, what is on the top first. And this is about a survival thing, and this is a survival instinct which all of us have. And we learn the sense of survival. We get that sense of threat, to a person, to an environment, to everything, and our body reacts to it accordingly. So this idea of being aware, what Peter Zumthor calls it as a atmosphere, the presence. He always talks about these. So this awareness is something which is extremely important, and I think genetically we are programmed to understand that survival instinct. And one thing I always kind of wonder is when you see group of crows, all of them look alike to us. That there's so many, they all look same. So I always wonder when these crows look at you, they must be also thinking we are all almost same. But we have this amazing skill which we are born with, is to able to identify each person as a different person. Now this is only half a square foot of area, whatever, plus some mannerism and all. But even when you are moving in a car at a speed, and then you see one of your friends in a crowd, within a fraction of a second, you know that, he's there. Just by looking at it from the side of your eyes, how does it happen? How do we develop these amazing skills, And this is purely about the survival, you have to know who is friend, who is enemy. And that we sort of built up that knowledge within us. So we become so sensitive that when you hear the bike going past on the road, just by listening to the sound, kind of at what speed it is going, what kind of make it must be having, and you even imagine the rider on it, what kind of dress that person would have worn. So you have these kind of connections. So what I feel is we have every person, every object. There is a sound attached to it. I know how you sound like, and if your voice changes, I won't accept you as Krishna. Or this glass. When you make a sound, it has to make this sound, and if it makes some other sound, you will feel uncomfortable about it. So every object, every person, you have attachment of sound to it, attachment of smell to it. If a rose smells like jasmine, you would feel uncomfortable. So everything wherever we are surrounded with, we carry these. It's not like a visual image, but it's a whole package with the sound, with the smell, with the texture, with the senses. So that's where you start sort of connecting the whole the ambience But within this, so many noises which happen. There is a fan noise going on. There's somebody talking, but still within that, if you want to focus on something, if you want to focus on your heartbeats, you would still be able to do that. And so to be able to move from larger to very focused kind of a thing, that's the amazing ability which we are born with. So when you're in a space, how do you create that sense of focus? So if you just look at it like time, which we are all so much sort of accustomed to visiting it so many times. So you come there and you see that ray of light coming. In spite of so many things happening, your focus goes on to that beam of light coming. And then you have another atrium and you walk towards that light because that's the focus. And then in some space, maybe you would walk towards the light and you might see one amazing door handle and you want to touch and hold it, and that becomes a focus. And then you meet some person standing there and that becomes a focus. So the whole thing keeps changing. And you always wonder as an architect, do you have this ability to create that focus within the space? So you can make a person walk towards it, or how the focus shifts from something else to something else. And then you build up the whole story. And maybe it would change from morning to evening, different moods, different timings. When it is hot, it will feel different. When you have a nice breeze coming, it would feel different. So it's an entire perception of a thing. But here, the whole idea is, can you create that focus within the chaos? I won't call it chaos, within multifaceted activities which are happening. Within that, you say that there is one thing which sort of drives you towards it.
So this, makes me think about the fact of intentionality. So how much of this do you think we'll have to do it intentionally, or how much? Or for example, if I take IIM itself, do you think though she did this particular sequence, how much of do you think, how much of it do you think is intentional, and how much of it do you think is accidental?
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to talk about this with people. They would be able to visualize so many things at a time, and we used to meet him very often. And once he had asked him that, how did you really, put conceives so much? And he said, when you are in that zone, many times I wish I should have more hands than like God, so I can sketch so many things simultaneously. So I'm sure though that all these great people have this ability to capture things, but it must be coming as a spark, and then you keep sort of unfolding it, rediscovering it. But how much is intentional and how much is an accident? I mean, I feel the intention has to be there. Without that, it won't happen. Because that great idea of having that light coming in and making you walk towards that, or making you look towards that, I'm sure that has to be intentional. In terms of how much you can achieve your dream, realizing it, that could probably, that would vary. Sometimes it would be probably more than what you would have expected. Sometimes it could be less than what you would have expected. And that's how you try to sort of work towards the next project, and you say that I would try to do it better in the next project.
So on the same topic of awareness, I came across this Kabir's, one of his poems. I'll just read out the lines. So this is actually an English translation of his Hindi version. So it says, "What is seen is not the truth. What is cannot be said. trust comes not without seeing, nor understanding without words. The wise comprehends with knowledge. To the ignorant, it is but a wonder. Some worship the formless God, some worship his various forms. In what way he is beyond these attributes, only the knower knows. That music cannot be written, how can then be the notes? Says Kabir, awareness alone will overcome illusion. So here when he's talking about what I understood is whatever you see and is not exactly what it is. There is always other perceptions to it, and then this was quite striking for me.
That's I mean, even scientifically what they said, like this Deepak Chopra talks about, what we have grown up with, that Newtonian principles, but there could be a different way of looking at it, like the way butterfly looks at the whole world, 360-degree view, and sensing through the feet, or hearing through the wings. So it's a different way of perceiving the whole world, right? And then we perceive it in a certain way, thinking that we have perceived it, and we sort of make our assumptions with the belief that what we are saying is right, but it's not necessary that we might have missed out on several dimensions which might be beyond our comprehension at that particular time. So that time in the space, that moment becomes important, and I think you have to believe in that moment and just live it with whatever knowledge you have at that particular time, and try to make justice to it.
So have you ever had a moment, something like this, you designed something and you felt it's right at that particular time, that particular situation, with clients, the project, everything, or and after a few years, maybe down the lane, there are many more layers that get added on to us. So did you ever feel that if I could do the same thing now, I could have done it in a different way?
Yeah, it does happen. But at that moment, you are in love with that idea, and I think that should happen. Otherwise, you won't be able to create it. If you have doubts in your mind about your honesty towards the whether you are achieving it 100% on, it's a different thing, but your intention, the honesty of the intention, that shouldn't be compromised. If you have doubts about it, then it's an issue. So when you are in love with it, you would just go all out to achieve it. You won't even question it. It's like mother's love towards the child. For a mother, child is always the most good-looking creation. So and the same thing, you also start feeling about your work when you are in that zone. But after a point, then you sort of come out of it and start looking back at it absolutely fresh. So that's the time you start realizing that how did I miss out on something so basic? I should have thought about it. And that's bound to happen. I think it's something which is part of the process. That's how youngsters fall in love. And then they get married and then they realize that, okay, it's not the same. So probably it's so it's a process which everyone has to go through. But nature has created this something extremely beautiful called love, no? So when you are in that zone, you are not even worried about rest of the things, and you're just focused onto that. So that should happen. That's beautiful.